Hello. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the No Nonsense live stream. It's Yaga. How are we all doing? I got a request last week. Oh, that's myself. Weird. Oh, I've got a page open up. I'm retarded. Anyway, I got a request last week to as a topic to talk about relationships, which is great because I split them off into many categories, so this should be fun. We're going to talk about several different kinds of relationships. We're going to talk about romantic, friends, platonic, business, and we'll throw maybe family in there if there's time. So, relationships. We'll start with romantic because that's obviously probably the easiest one to talk about. I've learned from my own experience a whole vast array on romantic relationships because, when I was a kid, I think Disney fucked up my head a little bit because of all the happily ever afters, the fall in love, this is it. But then, hey, what's going on there, Tony? Disney messed up my brain a little bit as a kid. I still like some Disney stuff today, but then I realized that a lot of those fairy tale stories are just that. They were fairy tales, and I'm guilty of it. When I was a teenager and I fell in love and the Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, I thought like that woman was like the woman for me, like my first love. I was so like, oh my God, and then some people would argue that, that's natural. That's teenage stuff. You're supposed to fall in love like girls, blah, blah, blah. To a degree, I think you're supposed to be in love, but I also think to have a lifetime relationship, you have to seriously work on some of your own issues, but also realize that the fantasy world that movies, Disney, or whatever has created is not reality at all. It's a lovely story, like the princess in distress, here comes the guy, he saves her, which there is truth to that because men like to protect and serve women. And then women are definitely way better at nurturing and, caregivers. That's why you see caregiver women as like either, more nurses or working with the elderly. Men, we're not good at that. We're good at getting shit done, building stuff, repairs, kicking the shit out of people who need it, stuff like that. But when it comes to romantic relationships, I guess in my experience, I've had to learn to not think like there was a woman out there who was going to be my other half, if you would. But with that said, I do believe when it comes to men and women, there is like a yin and yang quality, right? There is a certain thing when men and women come together that kind of completes a whole circle, Like men on our own, we're fucking. I know for me, like I'm just like I'm happy alone too. Like I can go do a bunch of stuff, fill my life with helping others, doing shit. I could fill my day without a lady. But then when I'm in a relationship, I feel compelled to want to make sure she's okay. Take care of her. Are you all right? And genuinely, I have finally understood at almost 35 years of age that women cannot be men and men cannot be women. This should be an entirely different stream. And I think a lot of reason I brought up Disney in the beginning is because there's like this weird fantasy, delusional fairy tale, if you will, that, like Disney presented, like they live happily ever after, but it doesn't talk about the next 20, 30 years of their life. Yeah, they meet, they fall in love, and then it ends, right? But they don't talk about like, well, how do they get to old age? They never had an argument. They never had a disagreement. He never got mad at her for what one of the kids did. You know what I mean? Like real life shit. And Disney would just cut you off at the sweet spot, which was, oh, they came together happily ever after. Even that movie, Happily Ever After. Bullshit. So, in my own experience with romantic relationships, you have to seriously mature in the sense of your own being and realize a man can't make a woman what he wants her to be and vice versa. Okay. I found myself, a lot of my problem in relationships was I always wanted the woman to like and do and think and do the same shit I was, like have the same interest, agree with what I said, do the same shit, go to the movie, go to an event that I liked. And then I quickly realized women don't do that. They have their own interests, but for the most part, they don't really give a shit. I know a rare few that actually like the things they say they like, oh, I like sports. I'm like, no, you don't. You just like it because your man does. You're adapting because you love him. And if that's what he wants to do, you follow his lead. That's natural. Women follow men's lead. Okay. I get a lot of shit for this when you just call out like nature for what it is. Women follow men who lead. Easy enough. But in societal terms, we have a lot of crap going on where women are told and believe a lie, which is they can grow up, be super successful, become men, and then live happily ever after. And that's seriously not reality, folks. It's not. I know too many women today aren't so happy and who have achieved that. They've achieved the job. They've achieved their own shit. They get all the accolades and all the fancy pants and lollipops and then still find themselves miserable trying to do men shit because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to go out there and do the shit. Men, I don't know. You have to look at yourself and realize a woman can't complete you. And for women, they're always looking for a better man. But that's not to say that long-term stuff isn't acceptable because my grandparents were together 50 some years, I know people who have been together that long. We had neighbors that lived behind us, right? Neighbors for my whole life. And they were married, I think, towards the end, like 55, maybe 60 years, something ridiculous, right? They both died within a year of each other because no matter what, I like to believe that person is selfless with the other person and they gave their lives for each other. And it was a give and take relationship throughout the years. I'm not saying they didn't have ups and downs, but you always got to be honest with the person. You have to be honest about what you want, honest about what you're doing. And if you have a woman to support that, I think they'll follow along. Ladies, if you can't change a man to be more like you. I've noticed that women try to get men to be more sensitive, more empathetic, and more in touch with emotions. I'm not saying you can't be that way, fellas. I have learned to accept my emotions and stuff, but you also know that I can't be the caregiver all the time. There's a reason women are better at it, and it just kind of flows from the universe, It's just there. Women are just made to be better at that shit. That's why they're the mothers. That's why they nurture kids. That's why if you really step back and look at it from an outside perspective looking in, it makes all the sense in the world without trying to think about it too much. So you have to go inside out, man. Romantic relationships, how do you lead a woman? You are loving and protective and caring, but you also have to put your foot down and go, I'm not doing this because you want me to. No, because your happiness matters too. And this goes for men and women both, okay? Women can't have a guy who's being a dick and constantly bossing them around, maybe. I don't know. There's a way big difference between that and leading people. And I think if you just do shit, men, and like show that you're leading forward, women are really like, I'm on board with that guy. It's like a natural sense. And I'm not just talking about like sexual, it's just like women like leader men. Let's fix this a little bit here. So, and romantic relationships are complicated, but I think to get to the core between, if you really truly want to be selfless with another human, they have to be honest. You have to be honest. You have to have the arguments that you don't want to have because you're uncomfortable to have them without emotions getting too heated. You have to, with my lady, we've devised a system to where if we're both feeling too heated to talk or discuss something, we have a word. We say banana. And when banana's dropped, that means back off a minute. And even me sometimes have trouble respecting the banana, even though I've been pretty good at it. But when that's said, that means, all right, take a minute, step back. Don't let the emotion take too far. Because when you get heated, it's like your own pride and ego wanting to get in something because your emotions are getting high. But when you're calm, collected, level-headed, and be like, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking, and then you discuss it, a solution is formed. Whatever goes behind closed doors is always between the couple, you know? Because I tell people all the time, it's like everybody from the outside looking into a relationship has always got their fucking criticisms and then their opinions on things, right? They're always looking like, oh, look at those two. That's stupid. Like, that's because it's based on what you would or wouldn't do, right? So you can't assume that what you would do is beneficial for those people because you have no idea what they talk about in private. You have no idea what they've shared with each other. You have no idea what level of life they've experienced with each other. You just have no fucking clue. But we like to think we know, you know? This is why I feel bad for Western women because they have all this shit designed to keep them miserable. The gossip magazines, the Cosmos, there's all this nonsense. And if you just listen to your man, he usually leads you in the right direction. Usually, I'm not saying always. I'm not trying to speak in generalizations here. I'm talking from like a nature perspective of hardwired thing. Take society out of it, right? Take everything you know out of it. Take this happy wife, happy life shit out of it. Because that's another fairy tale. That's bullshit. Because I know from my own experience, I have given a woman everything she's ever asked for, and it still didn't make our relationship better. It made it worse. She wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. It became more of a burden than it became a growing experience. Because you can't have external things fix an internal problem, right? You can have these things from different points of views, and you have to be able to talk about it to discuss that forward. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I can't. And I've talked to people before, they're very afraid to have conversations with their significant others. Like, well, I know how she's going to react. And I understand. I've dated women where you get to know them well enough that you know if you bring up a certain situation or something, you know it's going to cause problems because you know how she's going to react. It's not about an expectation on the other person, but it's about knowing what to expect from another person. And if you've been in a relationship long enough, you know how your woman is, right? Same thing with the women. They know how their men are, you know? This is why you have to have a constant practice of honesty without being mean about it, knowing when to put your own foot down, because if something's eating away at you on the inside, right? Something's bugging you and you don't say anything on it, then that's you. That's you. Men and women alike, okay? But women, you can't expect men to be understanding of you because we're two different humans, all right? But if we work together, we grow together, okay? And this has been my experience. I've been in a lot of relationships, a lot of romantic relationships. I've been through highs, lows, ups and downs, all that shit. And from what my experience is, you have to let go of fairy tale land. Okay. You have to let go of the Disney movie. My giant wedding day is so beautiful. And then, yeah. Weddings have been just perverted over the years to the point of let's make it all about the woman. No. Weddings are about a union between two people, a covenant relationship that says, I am giving my life to you. You are giving your life to me. We're in it till the end. That's what marriage is. It's not, oh my God, I spent $10,000 on flowers on my wedding. Did you want to come to my wedding? Like, that's an ego-based, self-centered bullshit reason for marriage. But it's not anybody's fault. This is what women are brought up in the Western world. So this is why I don't bash women so much about this, because it's not all their fault. They are told this is what you should expect. This is what you deserve. You're supposed to be a princess. Get over there, princess. Get your castle. Get your castle. But at the same time, nobody's teaching women that in order to get the castle, you got to please the king. Yeah. And that doesn't mean sexually. That means you have to be subservient to the men. And this is old school shit. For you Christians out there, if you're religious, go read the Bible. It's in there. For people just trying to better themselves, this is humankind at its core, from all different walks of life, from all different areas. Western world society today has made it so it's about the woman. It's not. It's about both. You need the yin, the yang, the light, the dark. You can't have too much of one or the other. Too much dark, you get Viking rape fucking murder culture. But if you get too much the light, the everybody's got feelings, let's never do anything to be productive. You can't have too much of either one, right? Same thing in your romantic relationship, okay? You can't have it all be the woman's way, but then it can't all be man land either. But men should be the leaders. Like, it's just natural. A woman will respect you if you put your foot down and tell her no. She might get mad. She might get mad, like on the surface, but on the inside, she's going to go, holy crap. I respect this man. He's telling me no. It's natural for women to do this. I know from my own experience. I really do. And it's nobody's fault but the society we have in, because it's like, it's all fairy tales, man. Big wedding days, then you're supposed to live happily ever after. But it doesn't it tells you what you should strive for, but it doesn't tell you how to keep it, how to work at it, how to maintain that relationship, how to let it grow, how to make each other grow, right? I'm trying to tell people. It's honesty with each other. Okay, whatever's said behind closed doors and whatever you deal with, that's on you, I do know that unless a person isn't supporting everything that's helping you grow and vice versa, that's key to nothing good. If all they want is your support and don't give it back, that's not good. That's not a yin and yang. That's just take. And that's both ways, guys, men and women alike. Okay. So romantic relationships are complicated, but they are not fairy tales. Okay. Once the fairy tale sets in, and I've seen people do it. I know a lot of people all my friends, all their wives, they have the big old fucking weddings, right? Half of them are fucking divorced now. I don't know why. I could speculate, I can hear it from their mouth, but I don't know. All I know is I don't know. Meaning whatever they did, they either didn't work and didn't value the covenant, or I don't know. See, I haven't been married yet because for good reason. As crazy as it seems to be in all the relationships I've had, I've kind of known better that the people that I was choosing to either be or not be with, I'm like, they're not going to help me get further. And that was me being honest with myself. To the rest of the world, oh, Matt's an asshole. What a piece of shit. I'm like, no, I'm being honest with myself. If you get married to somebody, a decade goes by and you knew before you even got married to him that you didn't want to do it, I mean, you're lying to yourself. You could have saved yourself a decade and just been honest at that point and brought up the feeling. But again, it's a place of fear. We fear confrontation with anybody in this world, right? I don't like confrontation, but I'm not afraid to tell the truth. And this is the truth. It's a land of fairy tales. But the reality of it is, you need to talk to those people that have been married 50, 60 years. You want to know how to keep relationships long-term? Talk to your grandparents if they're still around. Go talk to that elderly couple that's holding hands in the park. Ask them questions. Because whatever reason, they have been through thick, thin, everything else. But if at 50 years together, they're still holding hands, it's because they have a covenant marriage, okay? It's not because they despise each other. It's not because they hate each other. See, that's another lie we've all been fed, that you're supposed to do what's best for you, but fuck everyone else, which in a sense is a contradictory idea of what I just said. You do have to do what's best for you, but you also have to learn to be selfless. But by being selfless, you get outside yourself. It allows you to grow with another human being. You're yin, man, and yang, men and women, yin and yang. I am better in a relationship than out of a relationship. Meaning, when I'm out of a relationship, I fill my life with a bunch of crap. I could do a bunch of things, do all the things Matt wants to do and Matt's dreams and Matt's hopes and all this shit. But then I feel like I'm missing something. I feel a void over time. Some would call it loneliness. I don't know if it's called loneliness, but it's the grounding to my energy that I need, which comes from a woman, and only a woman can give me that. I've got great friends, I've got great family, but being that relationship with a woman, the deep connected, selfless relationship is where I find peace. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. And this isn't even a fantasy itself. If you want that long-term stuff, it is hard. And you have to have that honest conversation. Like, are you willing to go all the way with someone else? Or better yet, if you're in a relationship, are you willing to let go of this person to pursue that next level for yourself? It's all about being honest with yourself, you know? And relationships are not you have to, that's the one thing I think I'm trying to hammer home here is romantic relationships. You know, today we don't live in an age where people tell you that being in a relationship long term or getting married is stupid. And you should expect all these things. When in reality, it's the other way around. People are like, oh, get on the dating apps, go meet new people, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you only have so much time to build a family. Like women, especially, they only have so much time that the options, because, you know, you have to find a man who fits, your expectations are ridiculous. Men, we can find, to have a, I don't know, it's complicated, but you only have so much time to build a family. Men, I could be another 10 years before I have a family because I'm fine. I can produce kids until I die. That's nature, folks. That's reality, right? And then women, you got till about 35-ish, maybe 40 with, if you want to take some ridiculous non-nature drugs, go for it. But in all reality, you should have had kids by your mid-20s. You know, somewhere between 20 and 25 is your sweet spot. If you miss that and you haven't had kids, But if you have had kids and you're a woman who's miserable, it's probably because you're trying to do all this crazy shit and live up to the expectations of this retarded society of like, oh, yeah, work until you die, die until you work. Anyway, that's all I got on romantic relationships. I guess the solution for that is everybody's different. And if you fall in love with somebody, you know, and the love fatuation butterfly feeling fades away. But here's the funny thing. A lot of people have that and then it fizzles into nothing because that's what we call lust. Okay. Now, if it's the other way around, you're in a relationship and you didn't necessarily have that lustful feeling, the butterflies and the excitement, and then it grows. I'm going to go with the growing feeling over the lust feeling, meaning you're probably in something much stronger and long-term beneficial for you than the fuck this person and then fizzles away in a month or two or whatever. If it's the other way around, like I'm kind of attracted to this person, I don't know, and then you get to know them and then you realize that there are just deeper levels to this person and they start to realize you're on a deeper level and you just keep going. And then eventually it grows from, I kind of want to be around this person, and it gets stronger. That's what you want to look for. That's what you should strive for. In my humble opinion, that is what works, you know? Because if you always go by first initial thoughts and reactions, you're probably fucking wrong. You're probably wrong. But in time, your instincts will guide you in a certain light. You know, the relationship I'm in now, my instincts guided me towards that as much as my own self-interest told me something different. And so far, I don't regret it. It has taught me so much about myself because I went against the normal, you know, lusty feelings in the beginning because it's the other way around. It's the, I don't know if this is really a good idea, to actually growing into, wow, this is not what I thought it was, because that's the trick. Things are never what you think they are. It turns out that the reality doesn't lie. So tell the truth, be honest, moving forward. So that's romantic. And it's really the same for any relationship, honesty. I'll move over to friends and platonic relationships. You know, platonic is something, you know, a lot of people have that argument like, can men and women be in a relationship and not fuck? And you're like, It's hard. It depends on your state of mind, really. You have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, what are your motives for this relationship? Hmm? Are your motives eventually trying to get into the pants of somebody else and be nice and do play ball, or are your motives genuinely just like, hey, I just need someone to talk to and hang out with? You know what I mean? Like I have a girlfriend I've known for 20 years, one of my best friends that lives in New York, and her and I, no sexual stuff ever in 20 years. And as the years went on, we met when we were young on the internet in a chat room, right? Yeah. We kissed like one time, like fucking 15 years ago, something like that. But other than that, it was more like a friend able to be honest and vent to about life and then just kind of get like neutral feedback, but not necessarily tell the other what to do. And that's beautiful. And that's how it is today. There's no sexual thing today, if that makes sense. Now, again, that's me. That's my life. That's my experience. Now, thoughts, of course, always cross people's minds. I think at one point or another, depending on the dynamics of that relationship, this is something you either have to get across to that person or just not even engage, because people send out different signals and you have no idea how people are interpreting these signals unless you talk to them about it, honestly. Like your motives might be like, I'm just sending this funny picture to make somebody laugh because I thought it was funny. And the other person might interpret that like, oh my God, I needed that today. This person feels me. And then, you know what I mean? This is why it's good to always talk to people, because you never know what's going on up in the head until you get it out. And you know, I've had past relationships that were like, I totally thought it as a friend thing. And then I got the vibe like, oh shit, this woman wants more than friendship. And I had to shut it down. And then it's been other ways too, where I've been the guy who's like, oh, I like this woman. She's like, I don't want anything to do with you. So my life experience teaches me like, you don't know shit when you're younger, but if you've done this for a long time, you know, it eventually makes more sense. Um, so yes, I think you can have platonic, honest relationships, but you have to ask yourself what your motives are. Are you secretly trying to play this game to get into somebody's pants? Are you genuinely doing this just because? You know, that's what you have to ask yourself. Again, be honest with you. You can't control the world, but you got to be honest with yourself. You know, you didn't get you know, if you're making dating apps profiles, you're not getting on there to find friends. You're getting on there. Maybe you are getting on there to find love. I don't know. But you're most likely getting on there because you're horny and you're hoping it's an easy hookup in today's world. Maybe. I'm generalizing. I never did the Tinders, so I don't know. I can only imagine it makes things worse than it does any good. So, and you got relationships with friends. Same thing. I have friends of all different calibers, meaning I have, I collect stuff, right? So I have toy show vendor friends who are totally business related friends, meaning I don't engage with these people or talk to them outside of that, other than when I am present and in my collective buying mode at an event. Okay. When I see all these vendors, they see me coming, they know that I buy stuff. So they know that, oh, hey, here comes our repeat customer. We could talk about the things that interest us. Oh my God, did you see the new thing that came out? We're like, yeah, that's that relationship. That relationship fills a piece of me that is filled by those people. You know, you have to realize the other fairy tale is a person, one, cannot fulfill all of your needs. They can be a good friend to turn to with honesty, like the yin and yang of women, but a woman cannot fulfill all of your interests and all of your needs. And a lot of my problem was I used to think they could. I used to think if I just find the right woman, I'll be okay. She likes stuff, I like stuff. Oh, ridiculous, actually. But again, I laugh at it now because I learned through my own experience how much nonsense and how unrealistic that really is. Okay. So I have those relationships with my collecting thing, and they fill that. I have a friend who collects like I do, and we'll send each other shit just randomly, you know, text message, some dumb shit. But it's the lingo that we know for collectors that only him and I know because we do this. It's on that level. It's like trying to talk to somebody about, you know, a band you like, and it's how awesome and all the records are, and they never heard of it. You know, they have nothing to contribute to that conversation because they don't know what you're talking about. You know, same shit. Just apply that to this. So you got to find people, whatever your hobbies or interests are, you have to find people to fill that part of your life, right? I know people like, I know comedians. You know, I'm a comedic person. I'm going to go be on a podcast this Sunday. Shout out to the Happy Corner podcast. I'll be doing a little talk with them and just shooting the shit. So that's going to be fun. That'll be Sunday. I think they stream live on Twitch. I could be wrong, but that's like at 1 o'clock on Sunday. So be mindful of that. What we're going to talk about, I don't know. I don't even think about it. I just go there and show up. That's life. So business relationships, right? Business relationships are something that when you're young, I think it's hard to separate your emotions from business and know when not to take something personal and when to just know you're doing this for business sake, right? When I was young, I took everything personal because I didn't know any better, right? When I'm 18 working at a job, I thought everything people are telling me, I took it personal. Like, why are you telling me to do that? Like, nobody teaches you until you've had life and work experience that, like, this is just how it is. It's not, don't take it personal, right? And I see it at work. I work in the restaurant industry, and I got people that are, you know, fucking half my age going, you know, why doesn't our boss care about our feelings? And it's like, when I was that age, I totally understand their thinking because I did the same thing. I would get my personal emotion evolved in work, which is something you shouldn't do whether you're a man or woman or in general. Because if you're at work, you have to look at work as something greater than yourself, right? You're there to contribute your abilities to benefit the business as a whole. You may not agree with some things. You may not like it. It may trigger, oh God, I hate that word. It may spark a few negative emotions here and there, but you can't allow your personal views to get in the way of the business. Again, for me, this is something that I had to learn it through life, through multiple job experiences, different bosses, different work atmospheres, and I eventually came to the conclusion, I go, what am I bringing to work today? Am I bringing the best I can to any job I have, or am I making this about Matt? That's how you can handle business relationships. That's why those top dog business people, they don't sit there and bitch, moan, and complain about their personal views on life. They sit there and go, how can we make more money? You know, how can we get people to buy this product? How can we get people to do that? And then you go, share your ideas, and here we go. Business, interdependent relationships. I may not like everybody I work with, but without everybody I work with, work would not be able to function, right? You have to have that group of people. Everybody has a job. Same thing in life. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a mission. Everybody has a job, right? So business relationships, interdependent. You are dependent on those people at work. And I find a lot of people have a hard time, women especially, and this is just based on people I know and my own experience. Women, especially if they haven't matured up in the mind, can't separate work life from their personal. They think when they go to work, they have to bring their personal life in because you spend all this time. And people always argue like, well, that's natural. You're spending a lot of time with these people. So why don't they just fucking know my life? I go, I don't know. Maybe because you may not work there forever. You know, you don't need to give people the detailed, intimate things of your life. That information is privy to certain people in your life. It should be anyway. But then some people have no fucking problem letting everybody know their darkest shit, which I find dangerous for yourself when you don't know who you have as a friend at work. You know, you think you trust them. Like, I don't know. I've been working where I'm at for 6 years. There's one person I kind of confide in. The rest of the other people, it's strictly business. And I don't even know them very well. And I've worked with them for 6 years. I barely know anything about them. But that's how I want it today. Like, I don't need to know details about people's lives when I'm at work, right? Women, I love you. I do. I grew up with two sisters. I get called sexist all the fucking time. And I'm like, I'm not sexist. I'm like, I'm actually on your fucking side. I'm trying to tell you the truth and the reality of the situation to actually help you in life instead of like sitting in a whirlwind of fucking misery, right? So, business and personal, you got to separate the two, you know? I mean, and then people get like, well, who are you to tell me? I'm like, you know what? You live on your own experience. Okay. I've been burned. I understand. I have done enough fucking crazy shit in my life to get you to this information that I am just throwing out there from a person of experience. And you can take what you want with this information, run with it, tell it me to go fuck myself. But there is one thing that is 100% real, and that's the truth. The truth will always come out one way or another. So you may not believe me. You may think I'm full of shit. You may not give a fuck what I'm saying. It may have shut down a half an hour ago, but the truth is there. So the truth of the matter, business, personal, learn, and that is all based on one's own mature level. And where that is, I don't know. I can only speak from my own life. Everybody else, I think I see like but see, you know, I use a bird analogy with humans, right? Like there was Muhammad Ali once said, like, you know, bluebirds hang out with bluebirds, you know, cardinals are with the cardinals, but you don't see a hawk hanging out with a dove. Now the hawk is eating the dove, meaning, but they're all birds, just like we're all human beings, but we are not all the same. Okay? We are not. But human behavior, as far as patterns goes, is pretty much on point, you know? And when you go against patterns that are just naturally ingrained in your being, you get psychotic in the head. You get depressed. You start to live in despair. You start to come up with delusional thinking. You start to think the world's against you and reality isn't real. And you start to live in this constant state of fear because you're doing things that go against the true meaning of what you're supposed to do. I am a simple man who just wants to have a family one day and provide some way, somehow. And I don't even care what I do. But I got scared into thinking if I didn't have a good job and all this and the other thing, I couldn't have that family. And then I'm constantly scared into not having a family because of societal pressures. You know, we're in debt up to our eyeballs in the world, and people are like, "Ah, it's okay. Good luck." So again, you have to have the honest talks with yourself. What are your motives? Are you being honest with yourself and why you're in any relationship? Because you could be in a relationship but be living dishonestly in that relationship on the sake of another person's feelings. You might know the best thing for you is to leave that relationship. Might be the best thing for both of you. You can't necessarily stay with somebody because of them. And I've learned this too. I used to stay with women a lot longer because I was afraid of hurting them. And even though I caused probably more damage staying with them than in making the initial go. And again, easier said than done. I understand that completely. But time is all we have, and time is something that can't be replenished. And I've experienced enough things, done enough things, learned from mistakes that I don't waste time. If I feel or I know that my time is being taken advantage of, gone. Any relationship. People, I will not waste people's time when they ask for something from me, my help or whatever, but I will not let people use my time and waste it. If I choose to, my choice. But I have that choice. Other people, I won't give them the satisfaction or the power. And a lot of people are always like, well, that means you don't care. That means you just don't care, Matt. I'm like, you can't guilt me and you can't shame me into that. It's called no, having a spine, telling somebody no, that I have other valuable things to tend to in this world other than you. And You've already fucked me over a couple times, and I won't do it again. There's nothing wrong with setting those rules with people because it will seriously alleviate people that don't need to be in your life at all. And it will allow the doors to open for new people to come into your life that will help you get to that next level of whatever it is you're trying to get to. Okay. Don't think for, and again, family's weird. Family is like the last thing I was going to talk about in this because family's family. No matter what you fucking do, your family's there, and that's all you got. And love them or hate them, that's it. My family, as crazy as I disagree with some of the shit they do, those boundaries are healthy. Can't be a yes person. Absolutely. And I used to be a yes person because I wanted everybody to like me. I wanted everybody to get my social approval, right? And I did. I used to have 500 fucking numbers in my cell phone back in my band days. I had people calling, texting me. I felt important, right? And I was like, oh, this is so nice. Everybody likes me. But I honestly, at the time, was just living life and doing what I thought I was best, And I slowly went down an avenue of decay in my life of my own misery and eventually got out of it. But today I stand firm. I am understanding and compassionate for other human beings, but I stand tall and my integrity is important and nobody can break that. And it's not pride, because people always tell you, and I talked about this before, pride goeth before a fall, right? It's not a pride thing to sit there and tell people, no, you're not going to rob me of my joy today. That's not prideful. That's honest. They're not. And people can only rob you of your joy if you let them get in here and start fucking around. So to get away from that void, you have to set, again, boundaries. What are those boundaries? You have to develop them for yourself, for your own well-being. And by doing that, you will gain healthy relationships that are lifelong, beneficial to both you and the other person involved, and just all around stronger. And sometimes you got to go through the fire with those relationships to get to the next level of that relationship, because you don't think the same your whole life. I do not process life the way I did when I was 20, right? I don't even process life the same as I did when I was 25. I don't process life the same as when I was 30. The older you get, the more the chaos shrinks and it becomes more of okay, I strayed off all these paths in life, and here the path was the whole time. I should have just been on it. But, it's like the story of the prodigal son, the young son who goes off and does a bunch of crazy shit and then comes home broken. And the older son is pissed off on how the dad's treating him because the older son did everything he was told his whole life and was always there. And he's like, oh, what the fuck? I'm like half and half of those. When I was a kid, I grew up like, I was the good boy. I never got in trouble. It's please and thank you and the yeses and the politeness. And I did all those things. And then eventually realized, like, what the fuck am I doing that? And then I became the prodigal son and went out and got real fucking crazy because I said, you know what? Fuck it. I am going to go do what I want. But then I came back to reality. Here I am today, sharing my life with you folks on the internet. I hope this helps. I hope, because we can always focus on the problem. I try to find solutions. That's my thing in my life today is I try to work on solutions, not the problem. Too much focus on the problem in this world with a lot of people and not enough solution-based stuff. So this is my experience. This is what I gather from relationships. It was a really good topic. And I enjoyed sharing this with y'all. I am sometimes just borderline retarded. So whatever. Okay. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you for joining, Tony. Boundaries. You are correct, and that's a term that gets thrown around a lot to say like you need to set boundaries with people. It's also been hijacked and manipulated, I think, to where people are just getting this false sense of, you know what? I'm still going to go against nature. Like it is. It's like you got to weed through the bullshit and find the truth. If you just stick with honest truth, that is the ultimate solution to this all, is just speak truth, seek truth, and you'll be all right. You know, you get the short-term discomforts, they get, brush them off. The long term, if you keep living honestly and truthfully, you'll be fine. And all the fear you once had it'll dissipate and leave you. It will. It fucking will. Don't take yourself too seriously.